The views expressed by the host of this podcast are not opinion-based or for entertainment purposes. They are actually facts and truth, no matter if other people like it or not. It is the Detroit sports truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to episode 178 of the Detroit Sports Truth on Spreaker. I'm Taylor Phillips, and I'm with my top co-host on the podcast, Ed Smith. Thanks so much for being on here again. How are you?
Doing fine, Taylor. Well rested from a long day of work. In a minute, getting ready to enjoy my weekend, which includes a highly anticipated UFC pay-per-view card. But, that's just enough about me and my outskirts of adventures away from this show. Let's just get to the menu of what we're going to do tonight.
All right. Well, on this episode, we're going to talk about the Tigers getting another key relief pitcher in a trade, plus they miss out on 3 key outfielders. We're going to recap the Wings, Pistons, and college basketball involving Michigan State and Michigan. And we're going to preview the Lions' next game against the St. Louis Rams. But first off, starting with the Tigers here.
That one is long gone!
They recently traded 2 pitching prospects, Chad Green and Luis Cessa, to the New York Yankees for left-handed relief pitcher Justin Wilson, who finished with a 5-0 record and a 3.10 ERA in 2015. Ed, they get another relief pitcher that they absolutely need. Not necessarily a big star veteran, not too young either, just the right selection. He's projected to be a 7th-inning relief pitcher, platooning with Blaine Hardy and Kyle Ryan, according to MLB Daily Dish. That report was first tweeted by Jennifer Hammond of Fox 2, and I thought, hey, that's a heck of a good reliever. That doesn't have to be that big of a name. It just the better statistics is what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Just a good, reliable arm. It's not too young, but not too old either. It's just a good enough stage of his career we can still produce. And for a team that has a very, 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 and I do need a great emphasis on that word, horrid weakness with their bullpen in many, many years. This is a key for them that they need to fix this offseason. So yet another signing proved that to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. So the order will be Justin Wilson, Mark Lowe, and then Francisco Rodriguez, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. And after a starting pitcher goes like 6 innings or less, or 5 1/3, for example, or 5 2/3, I would believe that the Tigers' bullpen is almost set, if not completely set.
Yeah, you would feel, in terms of looking on paper, you'd feel a little less, what's the term for it, heartburn, or less nervous, I would say. Very less nervous about the bullpen trying to hold a lead or keep a game tied. If say, for instance, like for an example, Verlander can't do his usual 7-8 inning start, has to go for 6 or maybe 5 2/3. Knowing that the guys that you have there, as compared to last year and years past, you feel a little bit, just not too much, because this is the Tigers bullpen for a reason. It's like, I don't know, it's like a weakness of ours that always seems to bite us in the butt, and in the worst case scenarios at any given point in time. But still, if that was the case, you would still feel a little bit comfortable in the back end of the bullpen helping you out along the way. Really, all you need to do in terms of making your bullpen now take them off of the weakness category is just hope that some of your own ingrown guys improve. Namely, Bruce Rondon, whether it be from a physical standpoint on the field or a mental and maturity aspect off the field. That would be another arm that you would like to have in your stable of pen that once improved could make you a very valuable team to contend with. Because the offense is there. It's the pitching that was the problem last year. As the usual with the bullpen, but surprisingly, in ways, with the starting pitching. We saw Verlander, though, recapture a little bit of that magic, some form of his usual stuff late in the year. So if he continue that trend going into next year, and you know what you're going to get from Jordan Zimmerman, your newest signee, and hopefully Anibal Sanchez has himself figured out, as well as see what Daniel Norris does from his thyroid cancer recovery. The starting rotation should perform on paper. On paper, it should perform better than what it did last year. Now it just comes back down to, can the bullpen be a commodity for us instead of a cacophony?
I'd have to agree. So, moving on here, the Tigers have have decided not to go after corner outfielders Joenis Cespedes, Alex Gordon, and Jason Heyward, because apparently the only excuse would be the price being too high, or just not very good decision making by Al Avila in that area. But with those three gone, which outfielder can they likely get? You mentioned that Justin Upton won't come to Detroit probably.
Yeah, because I think that's another case where I believe he is a free agent this year, so you don't necessarily have to trade for him. But he's another person where, compared to like say Cespedes and Alex Gordon or even Heyward, money might be an issue as in terms of whether it be the amount of years or the annual salary or the total contract in general. The Tigers are still have some money left over where they could probably try to get someone, a reliable corner outfielder, but it's going to be a reach for them to say, get back Cespedes or get a Gordon or a Heyward or nothing. I think those players that I mentioned, they would be asking probably close to, if not right at the mark of $20 million a year, and I just don't know if the Tigers will be able to go back down that road, considering the amount of money we're already paying, like Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander, Victor Martinez, Anibal Sanchez, and now with Zimmerman even. I'm not necessarily sure if you're going to have enough for future years to go down that well again, especially when it didn't necessarily work out for you. See the Prince Fielder deal, or right there as an example. So I would love to see it.
The point is, Prince Fielder was a big star on the Tigers team, and he almost never produced in the postseason.
Yeah, that's where it mattered the most. That's where he needed to earn his money, and he just flat out didn't. But back on the subject of terms of you need to find a corner outfielder, really that's the only piece that's missing in terms of making you feel, wow, this team could probably make a good run next year, not just at getting at the division with Case with the Royals on top, but possibly making a run in the playoffs. Because you have your hitting. You got Miguel Cabrera, who's the best hitter on the planet. You have J.D. Martinez. You hope Victor Martinez returns to form of some sort. And, you still have producing. You hope that Jose Iglesias' year last year wasn't an anomaly. Hope he can continue that trend. And Ian Kinsler has some production value out of his bat as well. So the offense is fine. It comes down to, and of course, then compared to years past, the defense is fine too, especially when you have guys like Iglesias and Kinsler in your in the infield. But it's going to come down to pitching, like I mentioned before. It's Jim Price always says it in the radio broadcast of the Tigers, but in this case, it makes sense. Pitching. The bullpen is almost set, but now in terms of you want to be very secure with your offense, I wouldn't mind a good corner outfielder that can, whether it be left-hand or not, possibly preferably from the left hand, but still a corner outfielder that can provide some pop in his bat, place him in the lineup, near the top, 2 spot per se. right before Cabrera, it would make you very confident that, hey, this team can make some can go places in 2016.
Yeah, I've been at first hearing that Jeff Moss of the Detroit Sports Rag wanted a corner outfielder to complete the entire starting outfield. He wanted he first wanted Alex Gordon, but that's likely not going to happen now. But they put him. Alabama put them off at least for now. So we'll still keep an eye on that kind of thing, and see who they get as a corner outfielder.
If Mike Ilitch isn't BSing, I would like to see him, use as much money as he can to try to get one of these guys. With
Yeah.
4 of these available guys left in the free agency pool, you wouldn't mind be the team that lands one of those.
Right. We need a really good left fielder. It doesn't, again, like I said, it doesn't have to be a star. It doesn't have to be too young. It has to be very productive, not only defensively but offensively as well.
Especially offensively, especially when you know that you have J.D. Martinez holding down the fort in right field. And with all due respect, even though it's a nice, intriguing name to see, especially in terms of how he started his career here, Cameron Maben isn't exactly going to be the answer in left field. And whether it be that or in a platoon with Anthony Ghost, so to speak. So you still need to get a corner outfielder that can not only field defensively, at least adequately. We're not asking Mike Trout level in terms of defense, but still be adequate defensively and be a huge plus on the offensive standpoint.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much all we've covered for Tigers right here. Why don't we go to the Red Wings? So the Red Wings, we just saw win 3-2 in regulation over the Montreal Canadiens. They finally hold on in regulation after giving up a go-ahead goal early in the third. They come back, tie it up on an Ablocator goal off his skate with no distinct kicking motion, and then Darren Helm with his second goal of the game wins it on a wraparound in front of the backup goaltender. What was his name here? Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Tokarski. Because Carey Price was out for 6 weeks with an injury, which I don't...
Yeah, his injury.
I don't know. I don't recall what kind of injury Price has, but anyway, Darren Helm's first goal was a breakaway that opened the scoring in the second period, early in the second period.
Yeah.
And then the Canadians tied it on a rush that that just managed to pay them dividends. But that second goal that the Red Wings gave up, Jonathan Ericsson stood there in front of Thomas Fleischmann and let it go past him, and like as if Ericsson was like too scared to block the shot. Is Ericsson still trying to make an excuse that he's still not 100% or something like that?
Either that, or he was trying to see if Peter Mrazek could bail him out again, because remember there was a supreme chance for Montreal earlier in the game where it was you want to say 2-on-1, but really it was 2-on-none. And net save, or maybe it was a glove save. It was low level enough, I couldn't quite tell, but still a tremendous save that kept the game scoreless. It really proved to be quite big in terms of looking at the whole aspect of the game. So maybe, I don't know, that's an excuse I'll hold, but, can't say much about very good job Mrazek did tonight and has done. I'm a firm believer, I said it before, even going into the season, before the season started, the starting goaltender job was Peter Mrazek's to lose. So far, it's proven me right. He's had very few, and I do mean very few, off nights. So, much respect to Jimmy Howard, but this should be Peter Mrazek's job going forward. I don't know why Blashill wants to be doing this carousel or this platoon of start one goaltender, then start the next. I don't know what difference it's going to play in terms of strategy for the other team, trying to get in the other team's head, so to speak, or mix them up of what goalie they're going to face this week or this time. It really makes no point. Howard can be a decent backup now. It's at this point where he can be a fine backup, just in case Mrazek gets hurt or an emergency situation where you need Howard to step in. Howard has experience. It's just, he's just not as good now as he was then. And luckily, you do have someone who's quite as good, if not better right now, in Peter Mrazek. So use him. Simple.
Yep. Talking about what you mentioned, Jonathan Ericsson trying to see if Mrazek can bail him out. Jonathan Ericsson was only screening Mrazek, not giving Mrazek a chance to see the shot by Fleischmann that went in the net. That's Ericsson's mistake. That's you got to block that shot. If you're gonna get in front of Mrazek and try to play defense, don't just stand there like a statue, like a timid statue. Block the damn shot. Whether you kick it aside or lay down, however you do it, just block that shot by Fleischmann and clear the puck as best, and clear the puck out of the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is an element they still need to improve on. You've been hammering home for weeks on end, for episodes on end during this season.
Thank you.
Until they get it right. You're welcome. Until they get it right, it's going to be a prevalent issue. And I will say though,
and it's no process either. They got to learn it from themselves. It doesn't even take them 5 seconds. Once they see what's going on, they have to react now. They got to be aware of what's going on. They got to play the puck, not just cover your own men without realizing what the hell's going on here. Pay more attention to the puck.
And definitely agree. But I will say a good aspect here that we're noticing is Justin Applicator. He's scoring some more goals recently. Tonight he scored another one. He now has his 10th of the year. So it's nice to see that this contract hasn't looked like a complete disaster or ridiculous one that makes no sense so far. Still a lot to prove, a lot to see, but it's nice to see Applicator actually working to prove he's worth his value here.
Yeah, he just has to keep it up.
Be consistent.
Yeah.
Can't fall into too many slumps now.
Yeah, the one that Applicator got earlier tonight was a lucky bounce. Again, no distinct kicking motion, as I previously mentioned. And
that is true, but at the end of the day, it's going to go on your stat sheet as the goal, as another point, and it is what it is.
Henrik Zetterberg on that Applicator goal. He now has like 17 assists, maybe. Yeah, 5 goals and 16, maybe 17 assists. But he's got over. He already has over 20 points. Zetterberg proving to be a contributor in points, especially assists. He helps the team out on offense pretty much.
Yeah, his offensive production may have decreased, but in terms of helping out the team, it's still remained the same. So nice to see the captain help out your team in that aspect.
Yep. So the Red Wings traveled to New Jersey Friday and face off with the Devils. As I take a look at the standings here.
Yeah, I'll help you out on that regard. This was Detroit's, I believe, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fourth win in their last 5 games. They had to slip up the other night in Washington against the Capitals, but they rebounded tonight. This is now their 4th win in their last 5 games. Not only that, it's against a team that is within their own conference, within their own division, and in terms of points, the best team in the entire league. So not only that, with the recent winning, and now I'm getting this big one tonight. The standings now read as Montreal still leading the Atlantic Division with 41 points, but right behind them, as was before a few games ago, is Detroit at the 2nd spot, but now at 37 points. So, if Detroit can manage to stay within that top 2 or even top 3 of that Atlantic Division, they'll have no worries about trying to wrap up a playoff spot late in the year as it was a couple of years back. They'll have it. They'll be in cruise control when it comes to that point in terms of at least trying to rush players. Because if they keep this up, win enough games, easier said than done. But if they continue this consistent trend, don't fall in the slumps, see production from guys like Applicator and your younger guys, whoever you got right, Larkin, Jurko, Tatar, Pokinen when he gets back, Athanasiou when he gets called back up, Mantha even, the young bucks that I mentioned before. You're going to be riding on them heavily throughout this year, in the hopes that maybe Datsuk and Zetterberg to a degree get back to their familiar form come playoff time, and whereas you're going to need a whole collective unit to make a deep run in the playoffs. But for now, for the regular season, ride your young guys, let them get their experience and their production in, so they can get you a good playoff spot, and you should be good to go.
Absolutely. They also have a home game on Monday against the Buffalo Sabres. Last time those two teams met, they battled into a shootout, and the Red Wings won 1-0 on a game-winning goal by Brad Richards. And Justin Applicator got himself a Gordie Howe hat trick. Mrazek, however, gave up 4 goals in that game. Just a bad night for Mrazek.
An off night, a very rare off night for Mrazek, who otherwise this year has been solid.
Yep, absolutely. I think I expect the Wings, who have been playing better as of late, to beat the Buffalo Sabres, who just minutes ago lost to the Calgary Flames 4-3 at Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. As I see the highlights right now.
This is a team now that has 15 regulation losses on the season as compared to currently the Wings' 8. So this is a game you would think going into it, the Wings should be quite comfortably favored by, especially since it's at home.
Yeah, that is true. So we have covered all Red Wings. So now we're going to go to the Pistons.
Left sideline, 3, and he answers.
And Rasheed from long range. Oh! Yes! 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 Yes!
The Pistons have now lost 2 straight, including the one they let get away. Not the one that got away in the lyrics of Katy Perry, but including the one they let get away. A bad offensive transition possession by the Pistons led to Matt Barnes' game-winning half-court 3 after a bad offensive half-court three with 1.1 seconds left, giving the Memphis Grizzlies the 93-92 win. Stunning loss, but it's a lesson learned if a team like the Pistons, who are in the lead by 1 point, by 2 points actually, can't put the game away because of a horrible possession, like you mentioned to me earlier. And
it was a very awful possession. It seemed like they were just trying to milk the clock instead of just trying to move the ball. Granted, Memphis had good defensive pressure, but still, you got to find a way to find some type of production, even if it means, even if you still don't get nothing, you keep the clock down as much as possible, and you hope, and again, that leads now to the transition. I don't know what the transition was, but when Barnes was lining up for that shot, nobody was in front of him. He had a good, comfortable space of about 2 to 3 feet around and in front of him, so that gave him plenty of time to look down the basket. Because that's what it was. He was staring straight down at the basket. They gave him enough time to line up, time his shot, his form, and just let it loose. And sometimes that goes in, sometimes it doesn't. But this one had the unfortunate luck, so to speak, of going in. But still, if you try to contest him a little bit or get in front of him or near him, not too close because you don't want to risk fouling him. I get that, but just show a little bit better defensive pressure to make sure he doesn't get such a clean look at that basket. That's what it all came down to.
Yeah, exactly. That's another way that the Pistons could have prevented that kind of win. And
another thing that would have helped him out there, rebounding.
Yeah.
Drummond cannot do it all by himself. He had another stellar night. He had 19 rebounds, going on with 18 points. But you look at some of the stat sheet for the other rebounders. Sylvia had a respectable number of 7. But look at this: Reggie Jackson 3, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope 2, Marcus Morris 2 rebounds.
Whoa!
Everyone yeah,
that's
exactly.
very little.
Don't you think I know that?
It's almost virtually non-existent. The next highest player after Ilyasova in terms of rebounding was Baines, and he had 4, and that was off the bench. You need better contribution from your stars, at least on the glass, because that's why you have them there in crunch time to help seal the game away, and they did not deliver. They did not help out, and then, of course, it led to what you saw: Barnes hitting that 3 from half court, namely because they couldn't get a rebound.
Yeah, Aaron Baines, for example, came in too late, and so did Andre Drummond. I believe personally that was there, or somebody. But
yeah, but still, that's the person that they're going to try to box out so he doesn't get his rebound at the most crucial point in time. So that's where you need somebody else, like a Morris, for example, to at least try to get in there to, if not get the rebound, but at least make the ball more up for grabs. So knowing Drummond with his freakish athleticism, he could just reach up there and take it down if it came down to it. So, again, no excuse on that. You should have gotten that rebound. Or if he didn't get it, have a better defensive transition. So there was a multitude of ways that the Pistons could have done that game, and they didn't, and it came back to bite them in the butt.
Yeah, and there were 2 other Piston players that were on the court. This is a 5-on-5 game we're looking at here, as always. There were, as I just mentioned, there were 2 other Piston players that weren't even near the basket. Oh, I don't know. For example, Reggie Jackson or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I didn't even see who these were, but they were not even near the Clippers players that try to box out Drummond and Baines for that rebound on that Marcus Morris miss. That was a horrible miss, in my opinion. And I thought that I think that everybody, I think that all four Piston players should have been there earlier before the Clippers players tried to box them out.
I mean, were you talking about Memphis?
Yeah. Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies. Thanks for the correction.
All right. No problem.
But, before any of the Grizzlies players try to box the Pistons players out. If you're at least a couple of the Pistons players, you got to get in the lane earlier on your teammate's shot and try to come up with an offensive rebound. That's the easiest way. Ed?
You still here? I'm sorry. I was just waiting for you to finish. My bad.
Yeah.
Firm agreements with you, by the way.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, Pistons fall to 12 and 11 on after that loss. Memphis improves to 13 and 10. The Grizzlies do. Pistons travel to Wells Fargo Arena and play the Philadelphia 76ers Friday at 7 on Fox Sports Detroit Plus. Then on Saturday, they return to the Palace and play the Indiana Pacers, whom they beat last time. And then on Monday, they play the Los Angeles Clippers. Both those two home games tip off at 7:30 on Fox Sports Detroit. So, Pistons, of course, as you mentioned, they better win the game against the 76ers, but Pacers and Clippers are going to be tougher.
Yeah.
So, let's move over to college basketball. The Michigan State Spartans, ranked number 1, crushed the Maryland Eastern Shore Redhawks 78-35, as we saw on BTN. That's the second time in a row they've held an opponent to 35 points or less. And Denzel Valentine, according to Tom Izzo, was, quote, a little sick and didn't play with the same vigor, unquote. And he still came up with a double-double of 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Almost got a triple-double, but 4 assists away from that. But I think Denzel Valentine should be getting better. But the Spartans kept Maryland Eastern Shore at 35 for the last few minutes. They didn't even, and Maryland Eastern Shore didn't even hit a free throw. So which past opponent that MSU beaten is worse, Binghamton or Maryland Eastern Shore?
I think the fact that you mentioned about Maryland Eastern Shore couldn't even get to the free throw line, and the fact that it's close in terms of points scored offensively, I'm going to go with Maryland Eastern Shore based on the fact of the whole free throw game. That's unfathomable.
Exactly. You got to hit those free throws. Michigan State plays the Florida Gators on Saturday night at 6 on ESPN2. They're going to be a little bit of a tougher opponent, but I think the Spartans will beat them by at least 10, maybe around 15.
Yeah, you could probably expect close to, if not exactly, a double-digit victory. It's at home. You know, it's probably like other than the Oakland game, so to speak, that'll be played at the Palace against the Oakland Grizzlies. This is probably like the only noteworthy non-conference game to pay attention to for MSU before they travel up to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes on the 29th. So they only got 3 more games left to go for this non-conference season. Then the real test will begin. So really all it comes down to is, even if it means sitting Denzel Valentine for a game or two, if it comes down to it, so be it, because you're going to need him fully 100% in terms of health and mind when the conference season starts, because that's when you earn your money. That's when everything becomes put on notice.
Mm-hmm. And for Michigan, they get blown out 82-58 on the road to the number 19 Southern Methodist University Mustangs. Just another horrible game for John Beilein's squad.
It seems like in every loss that Michigan has had this year, they've been completely blown out. Now, I understand you're facing some good opponents, but every once in a while, you got to at least show a competitive game, even if you lose. You can't just, pile up victories against, you can't just pile up victories against no-nothings, and when you face a decent to a very good team, you get your butt handed to you. That's just, that's not going to make sense in terms of the overall landscape, and not good consistency, period.
Right. Got to be more consistent against good teams. You can't just hope that they beat you and beat you down. You got to step up more.
Yeah, namely in the post, because Michigan once again was completely they got completely outclassed. It shows you how desperately they are in need of an athletic big. Either at the 4 or the 5 that can help them out. You hope that having Mitch McGary wasn't an anomaly, but if they don't fix it, they're recruiting soon in terms of finding the right player for that specific need. It may turn out to be the case, unfortunately. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of saying, you need to fire John Beilein, but, the team as a whole needs to get better. There's no excuse for having displays such as this. This is a team that can still, at least when it comes down to it, make the tournament, possibly win a game or two. But that's probably as high as their ceiling looks at the moment. That being said, I hope I'd be surprised if they even make it out the first game the way they've been playing. If it came down to that scenario.
Yeah, I would be surprised too. Looking at Michigan men's basketball schedule here. Let's see here. Going to mgoblue.com.
Well, just looking at here on my ESPN app, they'll at least get a chance to feast on basically the little sisters of the poor. Delaware State this Saturday night. Then 3 days later, North Kentucky. Then on the 19th, Youngstown State. And then their final non-conference game before Big Ten season starts against Bryant. Against Bryant, that's the name of the school they're facing. I believe it's Bryant University. The Bryant Bulldogs on BTN 2 nights before Christmas at 7 o'clock start. So they have some time now to recover, so to speak, get some more wins, notch them on the record, but they should not look at this as, oh, wow, we're back right at the threshold where we need to be. No. This needs to be, you got to look past that and see what you can do, because once Big Ten season starts, third game out of the conference schedule, you're facing Purdue, and Purdue is back to vintage Purdue basketball here. So, and then after that, boom, you got another top 10 opponent in Maryland. So there's 2 big games back-to-back early on in conference play that Michigan, at the very least, needs to look competent in. Forget about winning. Just try to look decent. Don't look horrible like you had looked against Xavier and UConn and now SMU. That's all I ask.
That is true. When it comes time to play Big Ten basketball, you got to put it in full throttle.
Yeah.
So with all that, why don't we preview NFL football, Lions and St. Louis Rams.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
The Lions are coming off a devastating loss to the Green Bay Packers, 27-23 on Aaron Rodgers' 61-yard Hail Mary touchdown as time expired. Richard Rodgers, who was uncovered in front of everybody else in the end zone. Rams are a good team. Like we're hoping, the Lions should tank. But we expect the Lions starting off to lose to the Rams.
This is what you would hope. That's what we would hope, rather. But looking at it on paper, knowing the talent differential, this and especially looking at the line in Vegas, this looks like a game that unfortunately the Lions look like they should win. Right now, the line has Detroit favored at 2.5. Really, I think it should be more than that. It should be close to a touchdown because this is a St. Louis Rams team. They're 4-8, same record as the Lions. But in terms of teams they've lost to, they've lost to the Ravens. They've lost to the Bears, who have not performed very well this season. They even lost to, of all teams, the Tennessee Titans, who have been one of the worst teams in the league this year. And is currently battling out for the Cleveland Browns potentially for a number 1 draft spot in next year's NFL draft. So, in terms of looking at the eye test, this is a game that the Lions should be able to win. But there should be some interesting things you would see here. Can St. Louis find a way to get their run game going? Because for the most part, Detroit was able to shut down Green Bay's rushing attack, especially with Eddie Lacy on the field. After a brief lineup substitution, Green Bay was able to move the ball more efficiently on the ground, and I think, in my view, that helped open up things for Aaron Rodgers through the air. Now we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Todd Gurley does. I believe this is his rookie campaign. Running back out of Georgia, he's almost at 1,000 yards for the season. So good for the young scout in this instance. And another thing, another point of note, this would be Nick Fairley's first game against Detroit since he left the team in the offseason. So will it be that motivation factor to see him going? It could prove to be a difference maker, a good factor in St. Louis's advantage. But even though it's on the road, the Lions, in terms of pure talent, pure ability, might have the edge here. But then again, Jeff Fisher, in my view, is a far, far, far better coach than Jim Caldwell is and ever will be. So that's another factor you have to look out for here. This game could go either way. I can see it being another close one. I have to unfortunately predict that the Lions will win by a score of, I hate to say it, but 31-20.
Oh, my.
I know, but the way the Matthew Stafford has been performing, you expect them, especially after what he had the week before Green Bay on Thanksgiving against Philly, you expect him to continue to shred, because that first quarter against Green Bay, he was on fire, and the rest of the game, he really didn't get much help. But I'd expect him to regain that form, so to speak. He'll get back to looking good, look close to what he did against Philly. He'll rack up 3 or 4 touchdowns through the air, and then the Lions will add on the field goal, so there's 31 points. And I could expect the defense, they're not facing Aaron Rodgers this week, so they don't have to worry about getting lit up. So they'll be able to hold St. Louis to about 20.
All right, then. So maybe if the Lions beat the the 49ers and then the Bears to end the season, they could end up 7-9. It's quite surprising that the Lions would finish that way, and they would therefore end up in the same scenario where they drafted Eric Ebron as the 10th overall pick at tight end from North Carolina.
It will be around that top 10 range, probably a little bit lower. Because there's been an assortment of teams that have the similar, if not same exact record as the Lions would have eventually at the end of the season. So in terms of filing out all, in terms of tiebreakers and whatnot, but the Lions should be if they were to finish with that record, no higher than 10, but no lower than 15.
Right. That's pretty much the range there. So we have covered everything, Ed.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. And I guess if I want to give a parting word, so to speak, it's been a while since I've done this, but as everyone if you would know, listening to the show, I am a fight freak. Not just boxing, but MMA also, including especially the UFC. And, this is my shameless plug attempt. This Saturday night, live from Las Vegas, there's going to be a big card, UFC 194, where you will see longtime featherweight champion Jose Aldo defend his belt in a grudge match, a long-awaited grudge match against interim champion, the notorious one, Irishman Conor McGregor. That's not all. You also see a very, very exciting co-main event for the middleweight title where you see the man, Chris Weidman, the man who dethroned the era of Anderson Silva, put his title on the line for the 4th straight time against Luke Rockhold. You also see much more fights, whether it be a number 1 contender's bout at middleweight between Yoel Romero and Jacare Souza, or a great grappling display matchup between Damian Maia and darn it, I forgot the other person's name. Please forgive me. But still, it's a card top to bottom that is loaded. Even on the prelims will start at 8 in the East on Fox Sports 1, and then you can just head on over to the pay-per-view at 10 o'clock Eastern. Do not miss out on this card. It is a chance to be one of, if not the most historic nights in UFC history. And what a way, in terms of pay-per-view-wise, to end the year for the worldwide leader in MMA in the UFC.
All right, there you have it, folks. Ed, thanks a lot for helping me out, and thanks for giving the UFC MMA audience what they want.
No problem, Taylor.
And we'll talk again on Spreaker on Monday night at midnight, because I'm sleeping in on Tuesday because I have no classes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because it's finals week, and I got only the one exam Thursday at 2 p.m.
All right.
Yep. So, Ed, thanks very much. I'll talk to you Monday at midnight on Spreaker for episode 179.
All right. Take care, Taylor. Good night, everybody, and have a safe one.
Thank you. And that wraps up episode 178 of the Detroit Sports Truth. For Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. If there is anything you fans want more of or less of on our podcast, please let us know. Until then, talk for now.